All right, haven't done one of these art videos in a while, but here we go. This is Inktober day 11. Why did I just drop something? And it is disgusting is the prompt. And I have drawn Griffin Dunne as Jack from American Werewolf in London. Sort of how he looks when he goes to visit David at Jenny Aguter's apartment. So it's going to be sort of the green zombie looking. Now, I did not specifically, I mean, I've got photo references in front of me of what he looked like here, but I did not specifically do the recreation of a specific pose or photo. I just kind of put something together, basically. Also, it's really hard to tell. I guess I could have thrown the movie in, but it's really hard to tell what's going on with the jacket. It's like it's just a big, thick coat. So I kind of freehanded that, and we're gonna add some schmutz and grime to it and whatnot because he's gonna be pretty beat up and bloody in this scene. So let me get a sip of water here because my throat's already locking up. And please ignore the clock when it chimes. And let's get started on this. So the skin is going to be basically green. So we're going to go. Now, obviously, I'm using Copic markers. Obviously, I got to use what I have. So this is a YG03. And we're going to leave some white on the board for highlights. But otherwise, we're basically going to do his whole skin. Now, I find this green can be really wet like that. If you could see what just happened, how a lot came out. And the trick that I use is that I take the other cap off, because you have the chisel end and the brush end. And it seems like if I take the other cap off, the air balances it out and it doesn't come flowing out as quickly. I only ever seem to have that problem with specific light greens. So this is the most I've sort of kept up with Inktober. I try doing this every year, and you only ever get so far. This year, not only have I been doing it consistently, but I've been doing sort of more elaborate pieces in color, a few extra larger size ones over my normal 2.5 by 3.5 inch sketch card size that I normally do. So this is a 5 by 5 square. There's the clock, which I ripped off from somewhere. I forget. I saw someone doing a square. Now this is probably on the light side for the screen, but it's the lightest screen I have. And a lot of my other greens are going to be much darker, so we're going to use this as a nice base, and then we'll go up. I have been sort of experimenting with how I draw. First of all, I think I finally came to the decision, which I would have... What I'm going to say is crazy, because a year ago I would never have said it. But I think I've come to the decision that I enjoy drawing digitally more than physically now, which is crazy to me. But I've, like, a year ago bought an Apple Pencil, couldn't do a thing with it, was just terrible with it. I guess I'm going to do the scar and I'll add anything else in. Was just terrible with it and couldn't do anything, and now I'm, like, doing everything on it to the point where I've specifically started not using it because I don't want my first of all, hundreds of dollars of art supplies to go to waste, and I don't want my physical drawing skills to deteriorate, although it's about the same skill set, or it's close. But I keep doing pieces like this and going, oh, if I was doing this digitally, I could fix this, or I could do this specific trick that I know how to do and whatnot. So I think I like digital better now. But on top of that, I've been playing with my style as far as how I shape and render things, and how I make my lines. Specifically, I've been playing with hair a lot because I've never been satisfied with how I do hair. I'm still not, but I'm trying different things, experimenting. And then I'm also, when it comes to the physical art, I am experimenting with how I ink. So this was inked primarily with I usually use Pigma microns, and I've never been good inking with a brush. I got a wonderful $20 Pentel pocket brush pen, which I'm terrible with. I bought this for Inktober last year, and only was able to ever do so much with it. I don't think I'm very good with it at all. However, I watched a couple YouTube videos on how to ink with a brush, and everyone said, "Oh, this is great, but it takes a lot of practice to get to be good with this. So instead, start with a Pigma brush pen," which I said, "Okay, this is like $3." And I'm liking the results so far. So most of this was inked with that Pigma. I'm getting more line weight, which is great. Line variance, which is great because it's something I'm fully aware was an issue for me in the past. But I don't know that it's going to be my main drawing tool. I haven't decided yet. So interesting experiment. But so I kind of started Inktober this year using a different list. We're going to go to a YG45 to start adding some shadow. Using a different list that was all drawings of your original characters, which I thought, oh, that's a great idea, because I love my original characters. Oh, I just noticed there's a line that didn't get in there. But I've been kind of pushing myself so that lately when I'm not drawing my original characters, I'm sort of experimenting. So I found I wasn't experimenting enough with Inktober this year, drawing my original characters. So I switched lists back to the original list, to the official list, but I put my own caveat on it that I'm going to somehow do them all as either monsters from monster movies or parodies of said movies. So, for example, one was Teeth, and I did Lon Chaney's Wolfman brushing his teeth, which was recommended, or it was suggested to me by somebody. One was just Fish, and I did Creature from the Black Lagoon. One was Blade, and everybody on Earth drew Blade from the Marvel Comics. I was actually going to draw Chucky, and then I said, oh, why draw Chucky when I can draw the evil Krusty doll? My personal favorite was Fancy, as I did the Gillman from Shape of Water in a top hat, monocle, and bow tie, because why not? Second to that is a bigger piece I did. One a couple days ago was Throw, and I said, Throw. What's horror movie related I could do Throw? And I was gonna do various characters throwing up, like Lucy vomiting blood from Bram Stoker's Dracula, and then I said, oh, you know what's Throw is in Frankenstein when he throws the little girl into the lake. So I was going to draw Frankenstein throwing the little girl into the lake. And somewhere along the track of preparing that, I changed it from Frankenstein to Frankenberry. And I'm really happy with how that came out. And the idea was I'm going to do it all in black and white except for the pinks of Frankenberry. And I kind of wish his clothing I would have kept in black and white, so you would only had the pink head and arms. But I don't mind how it came out. This was one when I was looking at the list. I said, "Oh, I kind of wanted to do this character, and I almost did this character for the day that the prompt was rodent, and I was gonna have him holding the Mickey Mouse that he has in the movie." But I actually saw multiple drawings of that before I started drawing that day. So I decided not to do that, and I held him off for disgusting because he's all tore up and he's pretty disgusting. Gotta get a lot of shadow under these eyes. I almost just inked black under the eyes, but I think I'm going to enjoy building up some shadow with the green markers better. Now I'll probably blend this down when I'm done, but okay, first of all, we're going to go to a G09, G09, and add a little bit more shadow. For sort of the deeper areas. All right, and then we're going to go to a G28 for the deepest shadow areas. And now I think the trick is going to be making the scars look darker. So let's do back to the G4, 04. With these Copics, the big thing about the letter codes is you have to say both numbers. It's not a 28, it's a 28. Because of how they're created. The one is the, like, it's different shades within the same saturation or something like that. I forget the exact wording of it, but because the zero matters and whatnot. Because say a a 1-5 color, and then if you have a 1-7 color, then that's like a darker shade of the same color essentially. Okay, so we're gonna get some darker red, and we're gonna put a little bit of red into those scars. I could have just made the scars black, because that's the overall effect I'm going for, but I wanted more of a nasty, dried blood, decaying flesh black, not just a straight black color. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to go back over that with the green again. And now it's giving us the sort of muddy nastiness that we want. Now we're going to go back to the original green that we used, which was the YG03. YG is yellow green. So this is the lightest color. This is the lightest green we've used. So we can take that green and go over all the other greens that we used, and it will blend it. And sort of even everything out. Evens the lines out, blends the colors. This is the whole benefit of using alcohol-based markers, is the blending property. And they make a colorless blender. See, I could have added a little bit more shadow on hers. They make a colorless blender, but I don't know. I like this better. I just either the lightest color you used to blend everything down, or any even lighter color is good to blend everything. Like a lot of times with yellows or with really light blues, I'll go to an even lighter color for blending. We're gonna do a little more shadow here. Now, something I've been trying to really get to with my art lately is sort of the do it, and if it doesn't come out right, you learn something for next time. In the past, I've been very much the type to get something wrong and say, well, I ruined this, but you don't learn anything that way. So you finish everything, try things, like the great Bob Ross said, sometimes you're gonna a happy mistake. All right, so the hair is gonna be black. I'm gonna do a series of dark grays. Hopefully my N6 neutral gray holds out because it's getting low. And the great thing about these Copic markers is that you can refill them. But what nobody told me when I started buying them 2 years ago about refilling them was that in 2020, Copic was going to discontinue all their refills and start a new line of refills that were going to be cheaper and more cost effective, but would not ship when they were supposed to ship because there would be a global pandemic in 2020. So this is actually darker than I was planning. I was going to do the whole thing in this, but I think I'm just going to go dark to light. So what's happening is they wanted the old refills to sell out first. They've been having trouble getting the new ones here, from what I can tell. A few places I'm starting to see online have them now. And people who have the old ones available are selling them for super jacked up prices. So a refill is roughly the price of the marker on its own, but you get like, I forget how many refills, but a decent amount of refills out of it. So the point is, you buy the marker for $7.99, and then you buy a $5.99 refill, and you can use that marker again and again and again and again and again. Well, a couple of these I have just bought the marker again because I'm not going to pay 15 bucks plus $4 shipping from a seller on Amazon who happens to have the refill that I need. And it seems like the one art supply site I use is starting to have the refills finally, but I usually only order from them if I'm making a big order because free shipping at $50. These are all things that you worry about when you're an artist. So I haven't made an order yet, but all that was to say, my N6 is getting there. It's getting to the end. Also, my local Michaels does not carry the N6 on its own, so I would have to buy a new N6 from an online seller, pay shipping either way, so I might as well order the refill. All right, that's not bad, but I think I'm still going to go with an N8 to darken up some areas. The lighter was an N4, if I didn't say. Okay, so back to the N. Actually, let's do, to show you what I'm talking about, let's go to an N2. And we'll blend with the N2. And I don't know, I see other people's Copic work online, and they take photos with their iPhones, and you don't see any brushstrokes or streaks or anything. I'm still seeing that in mine. I don't know if I'm not blending enough. I don't know if it's the way they're shooting with their camera versus the way I'm shooting with my camera. We're basically using the same camera, but there you have it. So that was an N2. The N's are neutral grays. I should have said that. So let's do a little bit of lighter grays for the teeth. So this is a neutral gray 1. And then we can go back to that neutral gray 2. And darken that up a little bit. I have no idea what color his eyes are, so let's just go for a to contrast. We'll go for like a dark brown. Just to contrast with the green. And I'm not completely happy with how the drawing came out. I was trying to do, he's kind of got heavy lidded eyes in a lot of them. And I think he kind of looks dopey with the way the eyes look. But you know what? I'm the artist, and I'm sitting here and I know everything that's wrong with it. And I shouldn't be pointing any of this out. I should just let you look at it and say, oh, it looks good for this reason. Okay, so what to do about like almost the same color as him, or a gray, or what to do about this jacket. First of all, we'll do the shirt. We'll do the shirt essentially black. So now we're using the same neutral grays that we used for the hair, but I'm starting with the 6 and I'm going to go up to the 8 and Hopefully the shirt's going to look darker. I'm not going to have any of the 4, although I might blend with the 4. And what I haven't done for Inktober yet is done one of the Inktober pieces digitally, and I'm going to do that before the end, but I've been really enjoying trying things out with my Pigma brush. Alright, and then we'll go down to the 4 tip of the blend. Yeah, see, that smoothed it out pretty good. Hopefully you're seeing this okay. Let me get a little more light on it for you. Alright, let's see. Can I go with a bluish, a dark blue? This guy sort of used a green. Oh! Yeah, see, I was going to say it's been a while since I've seen this, but by a while, what I mean is I watched it at the beginning of the Halloween season, which for me started in September, so it's been a month and a half since I've seen it. It looks like, what it looks like is that the coat is sort of a khaki tan, and it's progressively getting darker with the grime and the dirt. Let me try and find the cover photo from the Oh, no, it is a green. Huh. So I guess it's like an olive green. Yeah, here's him sitting in the bar. Yeah, it's like an olive green. Alright, so we're going to go green, but we're going to have to do a little different here because I don't know that I have an olive green. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the YG45, and we're going to do the whole area of the jacket with that. And we can leave some white for highlights because it looks kind of washed out in some spots in the stills that I'm looking at. So it's at least partially reflective. Now, if somebody knows the perfect pen to use Copics with and not have any bleed, let me know, because the Pigmas, the Microns, are the best that I've used so far. I've used a couple of different pens with the Copics, but I still have, and I don't know if you saw there when I did that spot, I still have the occasional bit of bleeding. I'm going to turn this. Trying to hold it right side up, keep it in the filming frame, but sometimes when I do big areas like this, it's just easier if I turn the piece around. Turn the piece around. wearing out my marker here. I've said this in other videos. For some reason, I don't know why this is, I love this squeaky noise that the Copics make. And I also kind of like the smell, which you'd think would be just the alcohol-based smell. But what I've noticed, this is going to be darker than what it actually is, but whatever. What I've noticed is, and this, call me crazy, they tend to, especially the reds and the blues, maybe the purples a little too, they tend to smell sort of like how you would think that color would taste if it was a flavor. I swear to God, a lot of the blues smell like a blueberry-ish, and the reds smell like a cherry or a strawberry. I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's all in my head, or if it's something they put in the in the marker, or if it's just the dye, mixed with the the pigment mixed with the alcohol. Maybe it's just the alcohol itself. I don't know. Could be all psychosomatic. Maybe I'm crazy. But my purple really smells like grape. All right, so I'm going to use the same basic process that I did on the scars. But so we're going to do some shading here with a G05. I usually have music on when I draw, but for the purposes of the video, I'm not doing that. But I've just got the soundtrack to the stupid movie in my head, so I'm like over here coloring, going, "It's a wonderful night for a moon dance," which is weird because the song that I think of the most when I think of this movie is the doo-wop version of Blue Moon from the end. Even though the movie has CCR's Bad Moon Rising, which is just a great song. I am going to sneeze. Hopefully you don't hear it. If you did hear it, I apologize. And the clock again. And a smear. It's all coming up great at the same time. Alright, so let's go back to that dark red that we used for the blood. And he's definitely got like more blood on this side in this area, so let's and again, not using a specific photo, not trying to make this photo realistic. I am a comic book illustrator / cartoonist, so this is a comic book / cartoon representation of Griffin Dunne, all bloodied up. I'm not going for exact realism. That is my style. If your style is exact realism, more power to you. I mean, I wish I could do that real simplified cartoony style that you see some people do. I love it. But I think it's actually harder to draw like that because you have less line work to get your point across. So I think it's harder to draw a simplified style. And I specifically, I've tried it and I tend to over render it. So, and I've been trying to do something like that lately, and it wasn't really working. So I've kind of come back to I knocked out a drawing, I don't know, a month or two ago, and I just reverted to my essentially to my high school style, except that it was better because it was, knowledge and hand control and everything that I have now with a basic style that I was using before. And a bunch of people were like, "Oh, that's great. Why don't you draw like that all the time?" And I'm like, "This is how I used to draw," and I thought I was beyond it. I had improved, but okay. So that's an R59. So I don't have a darker red, but we need to use something to put some shade into that red. I'm gonna use a red violet. I'm gonna use RV29. Just so we get some of that shadow area back that we already had laid down with the green, because that red really wiped it out. I actually like this quite a bit. I think it's working. Like I said, not going for exact realism, so it's getting the point across. We'll do some browns to also dirty them up a little. That was an E18. We're going to go to an E29 to do some shading on that brown. Also just for some variation. And that's really it. I mean, I haven't decided what I'm going to do with the background yet. I did go out of my frame a little here, so I'm just going to... This is why I didn't do exact lines, exact straight lines, so I can do things like this. Hiding mistakes is a wonderful skill for artists to have. So the last little trick I'm going to do is adding a cool gray for shadows. So we've already, colored the green, so we have shadowed area, but we're going to add this. Right now I'm using a cool gray 4, a C4. And the green is basically staying because it's laid down so thick and it's overpowering. But it might not even show up on the video, but if you see it with the naked eye, I'm adding essentially some absence of light. Which you're going to say, absence of light, that's a shadow. Well, yes, but it's adding the gray to the green, as you can see, and it's just, I don't know, it works. Trust me, it works. I think I can pretty much do everything with the C4. Also gives you a little bit of color variation, which is also nice. See, I think that was a little too much, but I have to live with it now. Maybe you think that it made it perfect. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I'm going to go with a C5 just for the deepest, darkest. Yeah, see, there's so much marker there, it's not even helping. But then I'm also going to... the difference is a neutral gray is sort of a gray without tone to it. A cool gray has a tinge of blue to it. There's also warm grays. Warm grays are a gray with a tinge of brown to it. All right, there we go. I think that he is done. I don't know what I'm going to do for the background element. So for now, I'm going to call it, and you can see the posted piece on my Instagram later today.